What's up guys, Magic Navs here, and today I'm bringing to you a basic rundown of my 2018 Airsoft rifle setup here. And I've pretty much got everything I need to set up my rifle the way I like it to be, so I'm pretty happy about it. So I will do a quick rundown of what I'm running here, and if you're interested in any of these items, I will try to leave links down in the description for you guys to check it out yourself. So here we go. First off, this is a VFC VR16 M4 assault rifle. This is the CQB version. As you can tell, it's got a very short barrel to it. This was actually the first line of VR16s that VFC had released. They don't put these out anymore. They now have like the second edition of these, but if you're lucky, if you do enough searching, you might find one of these still. The only difference is that they don't really have the front sight anymore, and they've changed out the rail style for this series. So either way, I'm still really happy with it. I've pretty much kept most of it the same since I first got it. It's got a really nice QRS stock to it. You can adjust it to multiple lengths, and other than that, the outer parts I have not changed at all. I've liked it the way it is. I like to keep the authenticity of the original gun itself, so that's just my preference. Here I'm running a simple 1-point sling. This is by Magpul to be exact. If you do enough training, I think you can maneuver similar to a 2-point sling. Obviously, if you can find a decent 2-point sling that you can mount towards the front, you know, that's even better. But if you don't want to waste the time or money, then you can find a way to get these 1-point slings to work out just fine. So in terms of mags that I run for this gun, I use mostly Amoeba M4 mid caps. They hold about 140 rounds, give or take, and these are polymer, so they're pretty light. Even if you drop them, they're not going to damage that easily. I do have one SEMA M4 mid cap mag, and the only reason I have it is just because times when I had a mag not work on me, if I was short on mags, I would buy one of them at the front desk area of the field that I play at, so at least I would have an extra mag. Those hold, the SEMA mid caps hold about 120 rounds, and they are metal on the outside, so times that I've dropped them, they usually cracked or broke sometimes. So for that, I would not recommend them quite as much. So, but if I do, eventually I'll probably swap that out for another Amoeba mag as well. So moving to the top of the gun here, I've got an AIM T1 RedDot Sight. This is basically a replica of the Aimpoint T1 RedDot Sight, but it works pretty well for a replica. It's got 5 different modes for the red dot as well as the green dot. So the green dot you would use for if you are playing outside and it's really sunny, you can't see the dot. Green is better for that. If you're playing indoors though, or low light, you can just stick with the red dot, and for what it is, it's actually pretty good as a replica. If you can't spend the money for a genuine red dot, I would say this is pretty good in itself. So now moving more forward, right here I have a Night Evolution dual pressure switch, and this is basically a replica of the Surefire dual pressure switch, and for what it is, it's actually pretty good as well. I gotta say, I've played around with this so far. It holds on pretty tightly, and the button itself work really well. So the button in the front activates my flashlight, which I'll get to in a second, and the rear button activates my PEC 15, which I'll get to in a second as well. But you know, for a replica, this Night Evolution dual pressure switch is pretty good. So again, if you want to save yourself some money, I would definitely recommend this. I got this on Red Wolf Airsoft, just so you know. The nice thing about this pressure switch actually is that for the flashlight, for example, the front button activates my white light, so I have to hold it down in order for it to turn on. And if I let go, it turns off. If I keep clicking it, it kind of acts like a strobe light, which is nice if you're sort of into that. However, it's not really something that is as effective as people might think, so do keep that in mind. Moving up to the front of my gun, I have an Element LA5 PEC-15. This is a replica of the real PEC-15, of course. Now, it has a green laser, which is actually pretty powerful. And obviously you're not going to be using this for a lot of airsoft fields because you can risk injuring somebody's eye with it. But what you can use this laser for is to actually zero in the infrared laser. This actually has an infrared laser to it. So what you can do is by using the green laser, you can zero it in with this screw right here and this screw right here. Zero it in with your red dot to the preferred distance that you're most likely going to engage opponents with. Once you zero the green laser in, the infrared laser is going to be pretty well to that target that you're aiming at. So that's one way you can zero your lasers with this PEC. Now, because this is a replica, it does not have an infrared illuminator to it. Instead, it just has a basic flashlight on it, which is right here. And if I just show you, for what it actually is pretty bright. I've used this for almost a year now before I got an actual flashlight recently, and I'd say it's around 200 lumens, give or take. You're not gonna light up an entire field or room with it, but you can suffice with this pretty well. So if you want to save some money before getting a real flashlight, you can consider getting one of these replica PEC-15s for the flashlight that it comes with. Now, on the rear button, which activates my PEC-15, with the Element PEC-15 and with almost any pressure switch, I believe, especially with this one, you can actually, if I press down, it will activate my PEC-15. Now, if I double click, it will keep the device on. So if you're running night vision with this setup, with the Element PEC-15 and the Night Evolution dual pressure switch, you can, say you're running the infrared laser, just pretend the green laser is the infrared laser. If you have to use both buttons where you activate the infrared light, for say, just pretend this is infrared light, you can just shine the area for a moment, and then if you need to turn on the infrared laser, you just move back here, and I can double click, and I can keep the laser on my target. And then if I need to turn it off, I can just click again, and it'll turn off. So that's kind of the nice bonus that this setup provides for me and my place and how I want it to work. So the rear button, if I hold down, it'll shine the PEC-15. If I double click, it'll stay on, and then I can turn it off again. And then the front button, which activates my tactical light, I can just hold it for momentary on. I can, if I really want to, I can strobe with the light as well. So that's a nice bonus feature that this setup provides me. Now, on the other side of the gun, as you can see, I've got a Mobius zoom action camera. This was made by Brain Exploder, and he does not sell these anymore. He's moved on to the run cams, which have the zoom lens as well. But for what these are, these actually run pretty well. As not quite as well as the zoom cams that he sells, but if you can look around the web and you can still find some of these on some websites. And for what it is, this runs at 1080p 30 frames per second. It's still pretty good for what it is. When you're recording and you're editing this in your movie maker or whatever, you will probably have to, depending on where you're playing, you might have to increase the brightness of the footage when you record with this, but otherwise it is good for what it is. This is mounted with a Brain Exploder Mobius mount that mounts right here on the side. So for what it is, it works pretty well. Finally, on the bottom here, I got the BlackCat M600 tactical flashlight. This is basically a replica of the Surefire M600, and what's nice about this replica is that not only does it have your basic white light, which if I show you here, it is a very bright. It's got about 350 lumens, which is more than enough for what you need it for if you're going to blind opponents with it, or if you're going to try to trace your BBs or look in dark areas. It works just fine. I did make a simple plexiglass shield or Lexan, what have you. Placed it right over top just to protect that, just to protect the glass. So if you get one of these, I would suggest doing that as well, putting some Lexan over the front of it. But what's nice about this is that it also has an infrared light to it as well. If you can see, there's IR right there, and so you can actually use this light for your night vision if you're running night vision. So for what it is, if you need to light up an area which you can't see quite very well, you can actually use the IR light on this, and it works amazing. So that's definitely a plus with this light. Now the way it mounts, it's just a simple sort of an angle mount. I did have a bit of trouble with trying to tighten this down on the rail, so that is one thing you kind of have to keep in mind. And the only real space I had to put this on the gun, since the camera is right here and I don't want it to block the camera, I can only mount it right here. But even here, I don't mind it so much. It's, you know, keeps the gun streamlined it still keeps the gun streamlined for the most part. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's about it, guys. That's pretty much my completed setup with this rifle. I've got everything I needed for it, and I'm really happy with this result. I can't wait to try this out more often in the near future. So again, if you have any questions about these items, do let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you guys in my future videos. Until next time, peace out.